Hi, I'm Steve James, and this is 30 Minutes on Thunderbolt Radio and Digital. On this weekend's 30 Minutes, it's part 2 of the 2025 Weakley County Sports Hall of Fame.
Growing up outside of Dallas, when you walked into my bedroom, behind the door, we had all this memorabilia from 1967. 1967 Martin High School football team. My father was a guard on that team, and all I ever heard about was the camaraderie of the team, but the one person that he always talked about was Coach Jim Graves. Coach Jim Graves, as you read in your program, was the architect that started that street, 42 and O Street, that happened in Martin High School for 4 years. Miss Pam Daniels is here. This is Coach Graves' daughter. She will be coming up for a minute. She did want to say a few words. Representing Coach Graves, Miss Pam Daniels.
I would be remiss if I did not take a moment to share my family's gratitude for this award for my dad, Coach Crouse. I would like to thank the individuals who nominated him and those who approved it. My dad would say that this is his King's Award, and we have so many that are back there that have come to celebrate this. I can't imagine the work and dedication that was required from them. I hear stories all the time about how hard they had to work and class drills and all that kind of thing. But my dad would say it's not his award, it's their award for all of that. And he would credit the unwavering support of my mother. She was the proverbial football widow. He would also credit his assistant coaches and this entire community that he loved so much. So on his behalf, thanks to everyone with the association to the Hall of Fame for this honor.
Without further ado, Danny representing the Graves family, to have his little one-on-one time with Chris Brown.
Yeah, put your hands together for Danny. Tell us about your connection with Coach Graves.
He was the only football coach I had during my high school career. And one of the things we called him after a year or two was Lord Jim. He was known as Lord Jim. And these guys back here that I play with, they'll tell you the same thing.
One of the cool things about Coach Graves is, if you haven't heard, Martin High School had this streak, help me out, Danny, winning how many 42 consecutive games in a row, right? And that was from 1967 to 1971. Now, this is really interesting to me. Coach Graves started that streak. He was the coach at Martin when you got that first win of the 42 straight, correct?
Correct.
And Martin beat Union City in that game.
Yeah.
Later on, Coach Graves became the Union City coach, and in 1973, Coach Graves was the Union City coach, and Coach Graves ended the streak by beating Westview. So he began the streak, and he ended the streak. When I told you I didn't know that, you thought everyone knew that. But that had to be interesting, I think, for Martin folks, right?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what he was like as a person.
When you leave home, you left your discipline there. Well, when you got to school, you had the next father. I mean, he was the father to all of us at school.
Yeah.
And he took care of us.
I want to take a moment. Johnny Shanklin's out here. Johnny, you'll stand up. Johnny, you just stand right here by me. I called him, I guess last night or a couple of nights ago, and I asked him about Coach Graves, and he told me a story that made me emotional. And I said, look, I'm not telling everybody that story. I want you to tell this story. So here's the microphone.
I first met Coach Graves in 1966. It was kind of a traumatic period in my life. My mother and father had recently divorced. And then 1966, as those of you who live remember, that was the year we integrated. So my whole world kind of turned upside down. And as I reflect on that time, Coach Graves was actually an adjunct father for me. I spent a lot of time with him, coaching me in football, track, and we had a tumbling team that he coached as well. And because I lived way over here on the southwest side of town and the school was over on the other side of town, I mean about an hour away walk from me, he picked me up, brought me there and shared a lot of wisdom and a lot of his insight with me, that it really impacted my life as a young man that kind of needed some direction he provided that. And I will forever be grateful for what he did for me.
Oh, yeah, thank you so much.
Representing the family of Ron Lewellen is his son, David Lewellen.
Thank you, David. Tell me about your dad.
Dad was a gentle giant. He was you look at him, he's very intimidating looking, but he was a big teddy bear. He would cry in a sad movie, cried at my wedding. He was a big softy underneath, but he didn't let his players see that. He didn't let his players see that side of him, but he was a gentle giant. But he was compassionate. I hear nothing but good things. And when they hear my last name, they say, "You're in relation to Ron Lewellen?" And it could be anywhere in West Tennessee. I said, "That's my father." And they said, "Man, he was such a kind and caring person." And that's the biggest attribute is, he cared about family. He was a kind and caring soul who loved his town, loved his community, loved this university, and loved his family.
He made an impact here at UT Martin in the UT Martin Hall of Fame as a player, made an impact as a coach, and also made a huge impact as a community member.
When I was growing up and going to college, he was like, "You don't need to go into education. Don't go into education. It's rewarding at certain times, but it's sometimes underappreciated." And he said, you need to find something else. But I just kept gravitating back to all my childhood memories, all of the things I enjoyed growing up, and the different events that I went to as a kid, and being on the sidelines or being in the classroom, all those things growing up around it. That was just what I felt most comfortable with. He just meant so much to everyone in our community. He couldn't get away. Even though he stepped down from coaching, he went in and became an administrator, Dresden Junior High. He was principal there. And then after that, he went into insurance, but he couldn't leave education. He was a school board member for 12 years. So he still wanted to give back to the people and citizens of Weakley County, and glad that he chose to make Weakley County his home. Coaches, and Coach Frazier, the lasting impact he's had on lives, you see the people here for Coach Graves, and just the coaches make an impact on the good coaches make an impact on their players. Yeah. And that's a testament to my dad, but it's also about the team that played for him.
Newest inductee, Ron Lewellen. Put your hands together for David. Thank you, David.
One of my all-time favorite people is as an inductee this year, Miss Kendall, Cavin, Maxwell. Kendall was a young lady when we were up here, and she was her grit and her determination. And I think Natalie Fuqua-Brent said it best, when she would wear out multiple sets of knee pads every year. She was never afraid to dive on the floor and get a basketball, which was a testament to that grit. Our next inductee, Kendall, Cavin, Maxwell.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Weakley County Sports Hall of Fame Committee. This is really great for Weakley County, and whoever nominated me or just brought up my name, just thank you so much. This is a great honor. I also, want to thank God for giving me the gift and the ability to play the sport that I really did love and still do. And my parents, any parent in here with children that play sports, know how much it takes. I'm knowing that as well, but it's intentional, and I really appreciate the support and time and sacrifice that my parents, gave me throughout my whole career. And I'd like to thank my coach, Coach McMillan. I also like to thank Paige McMillan as well, and all the teammates that I've had over the years. And the 4 teammates I really want to thank is Amanda Phillips, Selena DeSantis, Megan Fuqua, and Christy Reynolds. All 5 of us have played basketball together from 6th grade all through high school, and I really want to thank them, because I don't think I could get through a McMillan practice without them.
You played for 2 of the most well-respected coaches in the history of Tennessee women's basketball.
Yes.
What was that like?
Elite coaches and programs that I got to be a part of, and had the privilege to play for these coaches. I think a little healthy fear is very, you got to have that. And I definitely feared McMillan, but it was out of respect as well. And I do feel like going through his elite program, I was completely ready to move on to the next level. I honestly felt like I was probably in better shape and was ready mentally for the next level with Coach Worrell. Like, you guys can't do this. I can do this because I've done it my whole career in high school. But I do feel like, you know, running through a wall and all my teammates would have done that. And I think, number one, I would do that for any of them because I trusted them. They believed in me, and I knew that my coach would not ask me to do something that he didn't believe that I could do.
Yeah.
That was all my teammates, and I think we all had to have a little bit of that because we were pretty much the smallest team everywhere we went. But I would like to say, you know, I'm very competitive, and I truly believe I get that from my dad. And also staying positive, my positivity comes from my mom. And I think being enthusiastic, the excitement of the competitiveness and being positive really helped me through my whole career.
Tell us about the memory of Coach McMillan wanting someone to miss a free throw.
My most memorable, most exciting game, I think, in my high school career was my sophomore year against Ridgeway. It was a sub-state game, and we walk in there, this little team from Martin going to Memphis, their hometown, their home court, big game. And I think we said there was probably a couple of 6'2", 6'4" girls on the team. But anyway, sub-state game, we travel very well with our supporters. So it looked like a home game just because of the amount of support we had from our community. We went to overtime, I believe. So we were in overtime. Angie DeSantis is on the foul line. Well, McMillan takes a timeout. We're sitting there, 3.3 seconds maybe on the clock. We're sitting there, and Coach McMillan says to Angie, miss the free throw. And I yell at him and say no. Of course, I'm a sophomore at this point. I didn't know why he said that. I had no idea. Why would you miss a free throw? No, we want more points. Hello. But Angie was like, I got you, Coach. And we went out there. She missed the free throw. They got the rebound. Time runs out. And the last thing I remember from that game, the buzzer went off, and my sister Kelly comes running from the crowd and gives me a hug. I'm bawling. And the most emotional game I've ever played in. That was just so awesome. And I don't think I shook hands with the other team, but I did cut down their net. So that was
Final thoughts, Kendall.
I just want to thank, all the supporters again. It is kind of funny. One of my biggest fans, or my biggest fan, that has never actually seen me play is my husband. Every time we meet somebody or go somewhere that doesn't know my background, he's the first one to tell them, oh, she was Miss Basketball. She had records at Tech, and I want to thank him for that and being able to share this honor and this night with my children who play sports, and it's just a true honor, and I appreciate it so much.
Let me tell you, she was amazing. And ask anybody who saw her play. Put your hands together for Kendall, Cavin, Maxwell. Thank you.
Our next inductee tonight is Coach Lampkins. I had the good pleasure of meeting Coach Lampkins years ago through my sporting goods days. When Mr. Paul Tinkle asked me to start helping him call high school games, and Noah would get through it this season, he would go with us. We had a lot of really funny road trip stories that were not fit to be told publicly. However, I'll call you my good friend Noah Lampkins.
Who would you like to thank who's here?
Well, I'd like to thank the board for, approving me to be here and be a part of this. It means a lot. I'd like to thank Miss Kay Hudson. She's the one that nominated me, and I think, you talk to anybody on that 92 state championship team or anybody that's ever been to Gleason and attended Gleason school, that they'll talk about Miss Kay and the effect they had on them. And she poured into me as a middle school student, and brought out confidence in me that I didn't know I had, and athletically and academically. And I really appreciated that. She had a big effect on my life, and it just meant a ton to me that she was the one that nominated me. It just meant a lot.
Yeah, she inspired me, and I was just a broadcaster.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dad. My dad was, as far as football goes, he had a huge impact in my life. He just, he just always taught me about the important things of being a football player, about being tough, about being a leader. He always used to say, leaders lead from the front. He would tell me that if it's worth doing right. And I'll never forget that. He's not able to be here tonight. He's disabled, but I just really, really appreciate him and the drive that he put into me. I remember when I played football, I didn't hear any of the stands or the fans or anything. I was laser focused, but I could hear my dad. I mean, it was weird. I could hear him, whether it was get off the ground or good job and a lot of that. And he was the first to tell me that some things I needed to work on and get better at. But he was usually the first one to tell me when I did good things.
Another person who impacted you a lot is Coach Guthrie. Talk about him.
Yeah, Coach Sam Guthrie had a profound impact on me as a man, as a football player, and overall just as a person. I remember coming in as a freshman. It was his first year there, and we had the big meeting that you have when the first year coach is there, and I just remember listening to everything he had to say, and I just ate it up. I mean, it was just like I just ate that up. His vision for turning around the program at Gleason. We were struggling, and I believed every word he said, and I wanted to do everything that he wanted. The plan he laid out for us to do, and I remember going home and being excited about it and telling my dad, I think we've got a good coach. And freshman year I started on defense, but I didn't get to play offense until John tells a story all the time about Bart Ballou breaking his collarbone. So thanks, Bart. He broke his collarbone, so I got to go in and be a.
By the way, Bart tells a different version of this.
Yeah, Bart broke his collarbone, so I got to be the starting running back for the rest of the year. This is a funny story. I remember when the season was over, I was like, I'm set. I'm going to be the running back for like 3 more years, And I remember that spring season, Coach Guthrie came to me, and I knew automatically what it was. He told me I was going to play quarterback. And I remember being really disappointed because I didn't want to play quarterback. And I remember the first person I told when I got home was my dad. And I told him, can you believe that he wants me to play quarterback? I'm the running back. And being a coach, this really means a lot to me now, more so than it did at the time. And I remember my dad looking at me, and he said, well, I guess you'll be the best quarterback you can be. I said, all right.
You went on to play college ball and had a fantastic career and achieved All-American status your senior season. Now, very few people from Weakley County have gone on to be All-Americans. That's a really big deal. And I know that you had a lot of talent, but you also had devotion and dedication and work ethic and the right mindset. First of all, I want to congratulate you on that honor that rarely happens. And what was that like, finding out that you were an All-American amongst the best in the United States of America?
Well, it was really neat because of my journey throughout college of getting to that point. David Byars in the crowd here, we were talking earlier. There was a time where I thought I was done with football. And David, when I got there as a true freshman, he was probably the only person there that knew me. And he came up and spoke to me, and that meant a lot to me. And then I remember wanting to leave, and I told him, I said, I think I'm just going to go to school somewhere else and just go to school. He talked me out of it, and I remember at another point I thought about giving it up, and Mike Bennett, and a lot like Miss Kay Hudson, Mike Bennett, another great person at Gleason, and was on my coaching staff too, which is pretty neat. But anyway, he told me, he said, you'll regret that. He said, you just need to stick it out. And sure enough, I did. I stuck it out. I worked hard. I graduated high school with about, you can see there, about 160 pounds, soaking wet maybe. And I played my junior and senior year at like 200. So I really, really worked. I would go get a plate of food, and I'd go get another plate of food, and I'd get another plate of food, and I wouldn't leave until I ate it all. And just a lot of lifting, a lot of running, and just a lot of hoping that it happened. And the starting safety got injured one game, and I got to go in, and it was mine from that point on. And that finished that year. I didn't mess up, so that my junior year I was able to be a starter right off the bat. Led the nation in interceptions as a junior, and had 10, I think, is what it was, a long time ago. And I was All-American that year, and all my teammates teased me about All-American. And I was like, no, there's no way I'm gonna be an All-American, and it was. It was a big deal, and I was really excited about it.
What is your goal as a coach?
Well, I think playing at Gleason and being the smallest football playing school in the state, and having to do everything, play offense, play defense, be the punter, be the kicker, be everything. I knew what it took from what type of input you had to have, the commitment, and the type of sacrifice that you had to make to be successful there at Gleason. And I feel like I have a little bit of a head start there because I was part of it. I had to go through those things, and I try to instill that in my kids about toughness and about the mental part of the game that you got to be prepared for and how important that is. And it was tough. No doubt about it. But I'd like to think that I do a pretty good job of that.
You do. And when the player says to you, "You don't know what I'm going through," you do.
Yeah, I've been there for sure. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Coach Guthrie. When I graduated college, I didn't want to be a teacher. I minored in education, but I majored in biology. Wanted to do pharmaceutical sales, that type of thing. I didn't go back after I graduated and did my student teaching, so didn't get that job. So I just kind of worked in the normal everyday life there for about a year. And I remember I got a phone call one day and it was Sam Guthrie. And that wasn't abnormal. We talked all the time, had a good relationship. And I remember he said, "I got something for you." I said, what are you talking about? I thought maybe like an old picture or something. He said, "Just come by my house when you get off work today, and we'll talk to you." I said, "Okay." And so I did. Went by there, talked to him, Miss Nancy, another great person in my life. And he said, "You're going to be the next football coach at Gleason." I was like, "Well, I don't know how that's going to work out." And he said, "Randy hired a guy. He backed out, and go apply. Here's what you need to do. This is how you need to do it." So I did, and I remember going to that interview with Randy. And anybody that went to Gleason, that it's just Randy Frazier just has it's just something about him. He demands respect without even demanding it. I get nervous today talking to him. And I remember being scared to death when I went into that interview with Randy, and he had a calm demeanor about him, and he said, "I think you can do this." And I said, "Yeah, I think I can too," because I definitely didn't want to be doing what I was doing. And I just forever grateful to Sam Guthrie and to Randy for giving me that opportunity, and I've been doing it this is my 24th year.
Wow.
At Gleason. So
you're not that old.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm getting there.
Put your hands together for Noah Lampkins, All-American.
There are so many stories out there that either we don't know or we have forgotten about. Our next and final nominee is a reason why this is a truly great endeavor for Weakley County sports. Emily Roberts Laird was a scoring machine from Sharon that ended up showing up at Westview High School under Coach David Byars. She's also the first female student athlete from Weakley County to lace them up for the Lady Vols. Not only did she play with the Lady Vols, she finished number 3 in the nation in the AIAW National Championship, appearing in 25 games that season. Our next inductee, Mrs. Emily Roberts Laird.
Who would you like to recognize? Who would you like to thank tonight?
Well, this beautiful crowd is just awesome. First of all, I'd just like to thank the good Lord for having a big play in this award tonight. He has helped me so much through life, and I just thank him for all that he's done to put me here. I want to thank my family and my friends that came in, gave up their family time to be here. We've got a big group from Memphis, and I just thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank the Hall of Fame board. Such an honor. Boy, this just came out of left field when I got the call from Jennifer. It's like, oh my goodness, this is really a complete surprise. But when I found out Coach Byars was going to be here too, that really made it more special.
What was that like, seeing him and talking to him earlier
tonight?
It
was wonderful. He knew exactly who I was. And asked me if I could still shoot the hook shot.
Now, when you played, it was 3-on-3, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So that was quite interesting. We had the forwards on one end and the defense on the other end.
And you were an offensive player?
I was an offensive player, yes. So, but we had a lot of good conditioning. Even just playing half court, Coach Byars made us toe the line and stay conditioned and run, and it was great. And I believe 76 is when I graduated, so that was the last year, I believe. We did the 3-on-3.
And then you went on to play with Pat Summitt.
Correct.
At Tennessee. But you had known her when she was at UT Martin, or did you first meet her at Tennessee?
No, I met her at UT Martin. Okay. It was the summer between sophomore and my junior year. Went to sports camp over there. And Pat had just graduated, and she was helping with the sports camp. And so I got to know her there and found out she was going to UT Knoxville to coach. And so several of us thought, well, we really want to go up there and see if we can play for Pat. So that's I went up there after I graduated, and
was she as competitive then as she ended up being?
Oh yes. Well, she was only like 3 or 4 years older than some of the players on the team.
Yeah.
So I went the third year that she coached, and she had just come in from being on the Olympic team, so she was in shape and ready to get her basketball players in shape.
Would she practice with y'all?
She didn't really practice, no. She just, ran the drills and gave us the look, and we obeyed. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, but it was a great experience. Pat was very tough, but she was also very genuine and kind and had a big heart when she wasn't at work.
Yeah. And I said earlier you were a pioneer in women's basketball, and I really mean that, because I look at our area and Lynn Dunn and Betty Giles and Nadine Guerin and Pat Summitt, and you can go on and on.
Right.
When you see where women's basketball is now with the popularity of women's college basketball and the WNBA, what do you think about that? I mean, how far you went from when there weren't even scholarships available to think that, it's hard for me to believe, but there was when you played 3-on-3, they really thought that women couldn't run up and down the floor and should only play half-court basketball. What do you think about how far we've come today?
Boy, we have really come a long way. I just think it's important for the players today to just remember where they came from, play ball, why they like playing ball, and just give it all they got and have fun with playing ball. But it is so competitive out there these days.
And your son's a high-profile coach now, right?
Yeah. He's an assistant coach at New Mexico State University in Las Cruces. He couldn't be here tonight. He's expecting his second child. They're expecting their second child at the end of the month. But my sweet daughter Kristen was able to be here, and my husband Brent and sister. And so we just are very thankful. I'm honored. It's very humbling and such an honor to be this recipient. I just want to thank everybody again. I don't know who nominated me, but I thank you for that. I thank you for all your hard work. And to follow the legacy that at the end here is just, I just want to. These folks are awesome, and it's just been wonderful to get to know the honorees tonight.
Well, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Put your hands together for Emily Roberts-Laird.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.